Attorney General Sessions and Mary, thank you for being here. And now, I will say, I'm from Georgia. There was something that was said earlier in this hearing that I was going to just pass by, was going to let it go. But that sound of fingernails on a chalkboard, especially this week, when I heard War Eagle. Congratulations, y'all did well, and we didn't. But I think the biggest thing is one, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for answering. I've listened to your questions. I've listened to the answers. I appreciate your honesty, even if we disagree, because I have sat here before and talked to previous attorney generals that I couldn't even get them to admit that 65 and a 55 was against the law. You would agree that is against the law, correct?
It is against the law.
There we go. We're far ahead of where we were last time. But I do have an interesting issue, and it's a bipartisan, because I believe that this committee actually works, and I do believe your work in the Senate shows that we can come together and there's compromise. One of the areas that's very important to this committee, but it's very important to our chairman, but also bipartisan important to me, is criminal justice reform. One of the problems we always have, though, is we seem to gravitate toward the sticking points instead of finding areas where we can work together. Wouldn't you say that an approach in which we can start finding solutions would help us get to those points maybe where we have sticking points? Do you think that would be a good thing?
Yes, I think there are things that definitely are doable that we all could agree need to be fixed.
Well, I think so, and I've worked across the aisles on this. We worked from a very conservative to a very liberal perspective. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I believe that those in our system are valued human beings by the gift of God that's given to each. They've made mistakes. They're paying for those mistakes many times. It's a money and moral issue. Are we doing what we can to redeem the folks who are in there and actually give them a chance, if they choose to have a better life as they get out? We have a bill called the Redemption Act, and it's bipartisan. We've been working on this. It's something that is for basically taking those, once they get into the federal system, starting them early, and making sure that they have a path toward getting back out and having lowering their recidivism rate. What we've run into, though, and we've talked to the White House about this, and there seems to be always this knee-jerk, well, we'll just package it together with a bigger bill. I believe, and I would love to get your work on this, that if we could work with the Bureau of Prisons to start this one bill, this simple bill that doesn't deal with the sentencing, it just gives them time to get time off, transition earlier to work release, to give them settable, obtainable goals that is about accountability and responsibility, so that when they come out, the recidivism rate is lower because they have marketable skills and things that we can do. What I'd like to know is, do you think that if we could work that in the House and the Senate, get that to the President, who has been supportive of this and his administration, do you believe that is a workable solution? Given your time in the Senate, we get so stuck on things we can't do. Wouldn't it be good if we start on something we could do?
I believe a pre-release program can be effective. Most of the time, according to my experience, they don't achieve huge results, but if they achieve 10, 15, 20% improvement, that's of value. What I have learned, and perhaps you'd like to examine it, the Inspector General at the Department of Justice has done a review of pre-release programs and found some of them are not very effective, some of them are effective, and not enough attention has been put on it, and maybe the money could be better and more effectively spent. And we got a new prison commissioner, Bureau of Prisons. He's open to this. We've talked about it. So I'm hopeful that we can improve that. And fundamentally, we do need to make sure that anything that's done with regard to these reentry programs, that we've studied the best ones and try to make sure our money is going to the better programs as opposed to some that may not be as efficient.
Well, thank you for the rousing endorsement of the bill, because that's exactly what it does. It gets the people from the minute they start in, so that the Bureau of Prisons evaluates them and puts them on a plan while they're still in prison. We're not talking about, this getting them out quick. We're saying here's why they're at serving their sentence and earning that time up to where they're able to then have skills and skill sets so that when they do leave, the recidivism rate's down. It's based on evidence-based approach. We're not saying just put them out because we're soft on crime or not soft on crime. This is evidence-based approach that we've seen work in places like Georgia, Texas, Kentucky. I mean, all over the place. Conservative states that have said this is something we need to do. I appreciate your commitment to law and order. And my father's a Georgia State Trooper. He was 31 years. Believe me, I fought the law every day and lost. But he's still my dad, and I understand law enforcement's role, but I also understand after we get there, after they pay that crime, what can we do as a society to make sure our money is well spent, and also actually look into these folks' eyes and say, we're going to give you a chance, but it's up to you. and I appreciate your, discussion on that. I want to see that move forward. It's something I think we can move forward both in the House and the Senate, and gives the President and the Department of Justice something to build on as we get to the tougher issues of sentencing reform and mandatory minimums and those kind of things that we know always bog us down. I appreciate you being here today, the President, and what y'all are working on has been appreciated. And it is always good to see Mary as well. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks much. And gentlemen,